Let's turn to 170 sad sacks who may have their names released as part of the ongoing Jeffrey Epstein legal situation. This is kind of exciting. A judge ruling that she's going to unseal the names of 170 people associated with Epstein. She's giving them, unfortunately, 2 weeks to appeal this individually. So we might not get them when we expect, because I would imagine if somebody's name is on this list, they're going to try to take the opportunity to appeal that and keep their name hidden. So what do we got here?
Right. So more than 170 people, the New York Post says, with ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including ex-employees and victims, are in store for an uncomfortable start to the new year. Now, let's put a pin in that question about victims, because we're not just talking about potential ex-employees. Their names are set to be dredged up in a trove of court documents to be unsealed in the coming weeks, the Post adds. Manhattan federal judge Loretta Preska on Monday ordered the release of the long-sealed documents in a since-settled defamation lawsuit that Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre brought against the convicted pedophiles Madam Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2015. So this is one of the Giuffre cases. Under the ruling, dozens of individuals who have been previously referred to as Jane Does or John Does in various court filings linked to the suit will likely be identified publicly when the materials tied to them are unsealed in full. So the judge has given them, as Ryan said, 14 days to appeal the decision, according to the order that was released early this week. So that would put us in early January, sometime around like January 1st, actually. Basically, have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Several people who are likely to be ID'd in the unsealed papers have previously spoken out in media interviews about their working relationships with the convicted pedophile or how they were abused by him over the years, according to the ruling. So what that's saying is some of this is already going to be public. And remember also that some of this could be victims. So as tempting as it is to kind of do a victory lap and have some optimism that people will be at least brought to public attention going forward, they do have 2 weeks to appeal, and some of them, again, may be victims. So that's not a sort of pleasant situation for a lot of people going forward. And this is a Giuffre defamation suit, and that's where the impetus for actually releasing some of these names comes in. When you're litigating the question of defamation, you can understand why that would be relevant. Now, Ryan, Representative Tim Burchett went on Newsmax and actually made an interesting point that I saw described in Mediaite as a, quote, conspiracy theory about members of Congress.
Conspiracy. I mean, I'm open to any conspiracy theory around what is clearly a conspiracy.
Right.
So
yes.
Let's hear the theories.
Yes, let's play this clip.
What you see in so many times, and my dear friend Marsha Blackburn, I thought she was snubbed. That's why I got involved with it. She can handle her own, but when the Democrat-controlled Senate did that, I went to Chairman Comer in the Republican-controlled House, and I said, we need to fix this. This is wrong. And too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. Somebody's whispered in their ear, said, hey, you don't want something to come out on something else, you better keep your mouth shut on this. And that's exactly what they've done. And it continues to go, whether it's the honeypot that the Russians used to use or something worse. I don't know, but it's clearly, you see that up and down the line. You see good conservatives vote for liberal policies, and frankly, you see some liberals occasionally that will vote for something else. So obviously, the Congress has been compromised, and this continues on through the White House, through the Justice Department. The trash can is very deep. It's not a swamp. It's an open sewer.
Amen, brother.
Right. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, notice there, he's actually also pointing out that Democrats will vote for conservative things, meaning conservatives are pressuring Democrats over Epstein compromises, basically, that this is blackmail that's used not just in one direction.
Vice versa, right.
Exactly, in both directions.
And so if you're thinking about how crazy that conspiracy theory might be, think about the things that we do know. Like, it seems pretty well confirmed that Epstein was some type of an intelligence asset. Mm-hmm. We know for certain all kinds of like wild sex stuff was going on in his on his plane, in his mansion in Manhattan, on his island. We also know for certain that the whole place was wired up.
Yep. Like
cameras, audio, everywhere. You put those 3 things together, you already can draw some reasonable conclusions. We also know that the FBI, after his arrest, walked out of his mansion with CDs that were in a safe that had name of famous person and then age of girl, like on the CD. Like that was reported at the time. Those CDs were never. Where are those CDs? Like
Presumably the FBI has them.
Who is? Yeah, exactly. Where are they? Like that is an enormous number of investigative leads. If this was on the up and up, and somebody was actually following this, because that seems like Epstein's blackmail that he had on the entire world.
Yeah.
Which now would be in the hands of whoever walked out of that mansion with that blackmail. The fact that we haven't seen a single one of those prosecutions, single investigation into those, really leaves what Burchett is saying as like the most logical explanation at this point.
It's a conspiracy
theory.
theory.
Give me a better explanation.
It would be a conspiracy theory to suggest that members of Congress are somehow not compromised in the Epstein investigation. And what he's saying, by the way, wasn't just that members of Congress might have been on the Lolita Express or had relationships with Jeffrey Epstein. No, what he's saying is that they have powerful people that maybe are donors, that maybe are in their ear, that maybe are other members of Congress or in the intelligence community that pressure them to take certain decisions. And he was referring to Marsha Blackburn, who actually tried to subpoena the estate. She was using this in a kind of tit for tat with Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, who Dick Durbin and other people in judiciary were trying to pressure for more information about their different potential conflicts of interest and all of that. Marsha Blackburn said, okay, we're going to subpoena Jeffrey Epstein flight logs. That goes nowhere. And that's what Burchett is referencing. And it is interesting because, again, you could subpoena the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for the flight logs, for that information in a number of different ways. Congress, if they wanted to know more information about Jeffrey Epstein, and they had consensus on wanting to know more information about what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein, they could use these mechanisms. They're choosing not to. And Burchett's point, it would be a conspiracy to suggest that what he's saying is untrue.
And his point was not, if you listen carefully to what he was saying, his point was not that every member of Congress is caught up in the Epstein scandal. What he was saying is that people have come to them and said, you've got your own skeletons in the closet. And so if you go here, other people are going to go there.
Right.
And so let's just leave it all alone.
Yeah. Don't touch it.
Let's keep those skeletons there, and we'll all just keep it moving forward.
Right. We'll all be happy if nobody picks at this scab. And so with these 170 names set to come out.
We should ask Representative Good about that later today.
I think Burchett's a Freedom Caucus guy. I think,
Which is absurd that we don't know who's in the Freedom Caucus. we cannot let Good leave without a list.
I asked Ryan about this.
Bar the door.
Ryan was on Federalist Radio Hour this week, and I asked him about the differences between the squad. Like, the squad we actually know who's in the squad. That's a completely different thing with the Freedom Caucus. It guards their membership very secretly.
The Masonic caucus over here. Get out of here.
Their Masonic lodge used to be Tortilla Costa, since shuttered Mexican restaurant on the corners of like First and C. But the 14 days between Monday and when these names are set to be released, I think to Burchett's point, Ryan, and to the point you made at the very beginning of this segment, we'll see. We'll see what happens with these 170 names. I think obviously important to remember that victims are among the potential names that would be exposed, revealed in this defamation lawsuit.
And they should obviously have the opportunity to not have, it should be up to them whether or not they want their names to come forward.
Right.
The dudes on that list, not so much.
No. Let's mention them all, as Bethany Frankel would say.
There you go.
Mention it all.
Names.
He loves the housewives. Name them.
Name them.
Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.
Help us build independent news and get the full show every morning at breakingpoints.com.